Scaling on LinkedIn doesn't necessarily mean just posting more content or spending more time on it. What it actually looks like is building a repeatable system that you can use or leverage or work without you having to be on the platform 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's not realistic. If you're building a multi six-figure business, you don't have the time to be spending every day of the week on LinkedIn. Now, if you're still working on making your first six figures and your first 100K, well, then you have the time to be doing things manually. And maybe you're bootstrapping business, so you don't need to pay to delegate some of the work on LinkedIn to other people, or maybe you can't afford yet to pay for some systems and tools that are out there, which I'm going to talk about today. But if you're at multi six figures and you're busy in client delivery work and you're busy doing other things and being the front and face of your business, well, then you need repeatable, scalable systems that position you as a thought leader, can work without you, and still increase your market share. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So, what tends to happen is when people are starting their business, very often they become LinkedIn content creators. And what I mean by that is they show up and they're showing up, they're creating content on the spot, they're doing it to try and get likes and engagement. They're doing it so that they might go viral and that they get tons of followers. But actually, what you want to be is a LinkedIn business owner and not a LinkedIn content creator. Because content creators create content for the sake of it to try to make money from content creation. But actually, if you're a LinkedIn business owner, what you want to try to do is grow your business using LinkedIn as a way to advertise it. It's two totally different things. And a lot of people get caught up in the content creator phase as opposed to really getting strategic in terms of their business. As a LinkedIn business owner, what you're doing is you're deciding first what your business goals are, then you're developing a marketing strategy, and LinkedIn is going to play a part in that overall marketing strategy. And so the things that you do on LinkedIn are aligned with your business goals, and the content you create is aligned with your business goals as opposed to just showing up and trying to get your shit to go viral. Make sense, right? So I want you to reflect on this right now. Which one have you been up until this point? Have you been a LinkedIn content creator or are you a LinkedIn business owner? If you've been a content creator up until this point, this is your kick in the fucking ass to make a change and switch over to becoming a LinkedIn business owner, right? So, one of the things that I often see as well with LinkedIn business owners is because they're not there to grow, become viral, and all of that sort of stuff, something that tends to happen is they get caught doing client delivery or they get caught doing other things, building something for clients. And what ends up happening is their LinkedIn activity becomes inconsistent because once you reach a stage in your business, you end up getting so busy that you don't have time to do all of the things anymore. And I see this happening a lot with my clients. And so a lot of my millionized clients, they have teams, they have virtual assistants or they have executive assistants, but they never work by themselves. There's always people in the background for them. Whereas my business accelerator clients, they tend to be growing things themselves mostly, and some of them are potentially at the stage of getting their first virtual assistant. So by the time they finish the program, a lot of them have virtual assistants. But when you get so busy, what tends to happen is things slip on LinkedIn and you let your marketing activity go. I spoke to a fabulous guy in the last week, and this was exactly his problem. What happens is he shows up and he starts marketing a lot, and then some clients come in, and then he's swamped in the client work, and the marketing stops. And because the marketing stops, that means then he's got roller coaster income months. Now he's still doing well, don't get me wrong, but it's the sustainability of that consistent income as opposed to income months dropping. So, there might be a month where you make 20 grand, 30 grand, but on a good month you're making 50, 60 grand, right? So it can vary, but having a consistent, repeatable system can help with that. And so what's happening there for that guy in his business is he's bottlenecking his growth. That's it. He's bottlenecking his growth. And I've seen this happen. This happened to me early in my business. And because when I started, I came out the fucking blocks flying it. Like one of the first contracts I got when I started my business was nearly 25 grand contract. It was huge. But I went straight into delivery and I was like stopped with the marketing. But that was a mistake and I learned hard fast. And so I ended up then hiring a company to help me with marketing. But I realized actually I did that too soon. And I think until you're so clear on everything that you stand for in your business in terms of your positioning, your unique value proposition, who your ideal client is, I mean, fucking knowing them so well that it's like looking in the mirror, right? Um, your offers, being really clear on your offers and really clear on your messaging. Once you have that nailed, and you could talk about it all day long and you have it documented somewhere, well, then outsource your marketing because otherwise nobody else is as equipped to talk to your ideal clients in the way that you can. So I think it's the last thing you should outsource. But when it comes to content creation, then here's where you can focus or how to focus to get the maximum return on investment. And then I'm going to share with you a 5 hour LinkedIn week, right? How to get everything done in 5 hours or less, because I'm going to share some tools that you can use and maybe some things that you could delegate as well. So, one thing that I do from a content creation perspective is I don't include that in my five hour week. What I do is I take one day a month and I will spend one day a month creating content. But like I said before, what I'm looking at is I'm looking out at my whole year plan. I have a 2025 whole calendar for the year. I'll look at that entire plan and I'll think through, okay, what offers am I promoting at different times in the year? And then what I do is I reverse engineer what I need to be talking about at in the lead up to those offers at that time. And that helps me figure out what content I need to create, what types of graphics I need to have, what other things I need to do off of LinkedIn. Like if it's for a challenge, I've run 2 challenges this year, or I'm going to be running a masterclass on the 9th of April at 12 p.m. And that's about your 7 figure business model. So, I'm starting to talk more about that kind of stuff right now because it's in the lead up to creating that content. So it makes sense. Everything is aligned with what I'm going to be talking about and the offer that I'm going to put on the table. So when you do that and you can think ahead in terms of what you're doing, this also is what makes you a LinkedIn business owner as opposed to a content creator and just literally putting something out there that you think might fucking take off and go viral. So in doing this, then what you want to break down is the percentage split in terms of the type of content you need to create. So, for example, you don't want to be constantly selling, 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 buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, because you're just going to piss people off and they're not going to follow you because there's no value or there's not enough value always in that type of content. So, what you want to create is a split of content that's educational, content that tells personal stories about you. Yes, you have to get a little bit vulnerable. You have to share things about your journey to date, things that are going on in your business. So, behind the scenes in your business, people want to know what's going on there. And then also why people should trust you. So, stuff like testimonials from clients and literally splitting it down across those four. And the goal of doing that is the purpose behind all three of those is what you're trying to do is capture new followers. So you're trying to pique people's curiosity and bring them in to become followers of your business. The second thing that you're trying to do is engage current followers, and you'll do that by sharing personal content and the behind the scenes stuff because people are so fucking nosy. They want to know what you're doing, what's making you a success. They want to know so that they can try and replicate it. Hence, this is some of the stuff that I'm sharing with you now. These are the things that I do exactly in my business and that I help my clients do to make multiple 6 figures and millionize some of the others. And the final thing then is conversion. But like I said, you want to use conversion probably 80-20% of the time, unless you're in full on campaign mode and you're selling something for a week. Maybe as a coach or consultant or even a service provider, you might have a window of where there's something, a service is open for a short period, there's a deadline to close. And so you want to be selling right up until that deadline. And then you go back to capturing attention and engaging people with the other kind of types of content. So once you're aware of that, you can create content really quickly. Now, I've started to use an AI tool, not ChatGPT or Gemini. I've always used ChatGPT or Gemini to create my content, and I would have created my own custom GPTs and created templates for clients to build their own custom GPTs out. But I've come across a lovely tool for LinkedIn called Scripe. So it's like Stripe, the invoicing software, the that one. It's like Stripe, but with a C. So SCRIPE, Scripe.io. If you're interested in Scripe, send me a message here on LinkedIn. I have an affiliate link for it. Because one of my clients, I was showing them Scripe. They were like, oh my God, Deirdre, this is fucking amazing. Have you got a link for it? An affiliate link? I was like, no, hold on. And I literally created it and shared it with them. And yeah, so now I have an affiliate link for Scripe. If you're interested in testing it out, even though you can do a free trial, which is what I did, and that's what I showed him before I'd even signed up for it myself. But it's such a cool tool. So here's how it works and can help you batch create and speed up your content creation yourself. What it does is, unlike ChatGPT, Scribe connects with your LinkedIn. So all of your LinkedIn content over the last few years, it can pull in and look at your best performing content. And then it uses your content and other content for people like you, people whose profiles are similar to yours. And it takes their best performing content and pulls it in together so that the output is something that people will read. And the idea behind Scribe, what it does as well is, so you can attach things like a knowledge base. For example, if I wanted to take a transcript after I've recorded this live, what I could do is take this transcript, upload it to Scribe, and Scribe will create social media posts for me for LinkedIn, purposefully for LinkedIn, off of the back of this transcript. It's fucking cool. And it does it in seconds. I love it. What it does is, I think it creates maybe 30 or 50 outputs from one long form bit of content like this. And what it does first, and I really like this, is it gives you 6 hooks. And you get to choose which hook that you like the best. And then once you select your hook, then it creates the outputs from there. It's absolutely so cool. So the other thing that you can do is you can upload other data. So again, for me, when clients come to me, one of the first things I work with them on is their brand story. And so I give them a brand story playbook. They get that in a PDF format. And what they can do is take that PDF format and upload it either to ChatGPT, this works for your custom GPTs too, or into a platform like Scribe. Now, I think the custom GPT is important because, like I said at the start, LinkedIn is just one part of your overall marketing puzzle. And so for Scribe's a great tool to help speed up your LinkedIn content creation. And plus, you can schedule your content directly from Scribe. The other thing that Scribe is cool for is that, let's say if you want to build domain authority, or you want to build your thought leadership on LinkedIn. What you can do is tell Scribe that this is your primary goal right now. And it will tell you what split of content that you need to create based on your primary goal. So you know how much types educational content you need to share. You know how much you need to be talking about your accolades and sharing testimonials, because it literally gives you the percentage split of what you need to do. So it's aligned with your overall strategy. So it's a really smart way to create content and to create lots of bits of content from one post or long form transcript like this. So if you've done YouTube videos, long form videos, if you've done presentations for clients, even a coaching call that you might have held, if it was recorded, you could upload that if you have client permission, but you wouldn't be breaking any confidences. It's check, you want to check that it's GDPR compliant. You could take a client transcript and remove client data and information, anything that's personal, and upload it to make sure that it's GDPR compliant. But the other thing that's really helpful is to schedule everything in advance, and that helps you stay visible on LinkedIn without daily effort. Now, I particularly like to do this, and somebody, when I was sharing this with people in my program recently, one of the questions that they asked was, Deirdre, is it not sensible to be on the platform? Sorry, let me rephrase that. What they asked was, Deirdre, is there a difference between scheduling it live, as in doing it in the platform at the time you're posting, versus using a scheduling tool? Great question, because the answer is no, it's okay to actually use a scheduling tool so long as you're live at the time the post goes out. And what I mean by that is the minute your post goes out, you have 30 minutes. According to the algorithm, as far as I know, because it is a fucking mystery, right? LinkedIn, I'd love to know what your actual algorithm is. But the idea is that in the 30 minutes before and after your post goes out, so maybe 5 or 10 minutes before, you're engaging live and active on the platform. And for 10 or 15 minutes after your post goes out, you're engaging with people who are responding to your post, you're commenting and engaging on other people's content, and you're letting the platform know that you're live. But instead of having to create that post right there and then schedule it, what you're doing is you're batch creating content ahead and then you're automatically scheduling it. Okay, so that's the content stuff done, dusted out of the way. Now, moving beyond that, then some of the next things that I recommend that people do, your 5 hour system, and this is 1 hour per day, is to get really strategic around your commenting, your conversations, and your connections. So those are the other three things to really prioritize in the hour. So in terms of engagement, you've posted your content or your content is just about to go out. What you want to do is comment strategically so that you stay top of mind and you build relationships without going into the platform on your phone or on your desktop or laptop, whatever the fuck you're on, and just randomly thinking, whose stuff do I like today, reading random shit, and then just commenting. That's not doing you any favors, and potentially it might be affecting the algorithm, because what the algorithm wants to see is that you're engaging with people who appear to be your ideal clients. And if you're engaging with other people who are not your ideal clients, friends, family, any people like that, it's not doing you any favors. So ideally, if somebody comments or engages on your content after you've posted it, excuse me, ideally what you want to do is reply and engage back fast with them. And use insightful comments. Don't say things like thanks or great or just give them an emoji. That stuff doesn't do anything. According to the last data that I saw about LinkedIn commenting, your comment needs to be at least 5 words for LinkedIn to pick it up as though it's an actual comment and an engagement. If it's less than 5 words, they don't deem it to be engagement. And if your goal is to generate real relationships with people on LinkedIn and connect and network with people who potentially could become your ideal clients, thanks is not fucking enough anyway, right? Seriously. What you want to try and do is have a meaningful conversation with them. But if someone asks a deep question, you move that into the conversations, and that's where you have a DM. So other things in terms of engaging is to get really strategic in terms of the people that you engage with. So what does that look like, right? LinkedIn favors mutual engagement. And what I mean by that is the people who you really want to prioritize on the platform are people who are your ideal clients and people who are industry leaders at what you do. And like I said, you want to not even when it's not your own content that you're commenting on, but it's somebody else's, you want to leave insightful comments. Things like, you know, Let's say if I saw Richard Vanderblom, who I love, he's an LinkedIn influencer. He's coming on my podcast soon. If you've got questions you'd like me to ask LinkedIn, oh my God. If you've got questions you'd like me to ask Richard Vanderblom on my podcast, please send me a message and tell me what you'd like me to answer. The podcast is the Master Your Business podcast. I'm going to be interviewing him in a few weeks, and I would love to ask your questions on your behalf and get them answered for you. So send me a message, just call it Richard, ask Richard, whatever it is, and I will ask him. But, if, for example, I saw Richard posted something, I might say, interesting take, but look at it from this angle and give it, give another comment. It's not to debate what he's saying, it's to add extra value to the other people who might read the post and view the comments. Or it could be, I've seen this. I'm curious if you think that might work better. So some sort of a comment like that. Or it could be, great post. One tweak I've used is this. What's your take? So all of it is like a question angle. It's comments that get attention as well, because if you comment on an influencer's post, what tends to happen is your ideal clients are following that influencer and they're also engaging and commenting. If you comment something that's really fucking good, what will happen is your ideal clients will engage on your comments within the post. And then what happens is they send you connection requests and you're like, yay. Because you're commenting on an influencer. They may never work with the influencer. They may never be able to afford to work with an influencer. Maybe the influencer doesn't offer them one-to-one services or one-to-one coaching or one-to-one consulting at a rate that they can afford right now or where they're at in their business journey. But that's where they're aspiring to get to. But they can probably afford you. So by you commenting and engaging really strategically on those industry influences, you're opening up an opportunity and a door to be seen as a thought leader yourself, and equally to attract ideal clients. So some of the things that are great to do as well is that in terms of thought leadership, I have my notes here. Here's what I wanted to say about thought leadership. It's it's not about, okay, identifying who's one industry influencer that posts every day and commenting on their stuff. What I recommend that you do is identify 5 to 10 industry influencers whose stuff you'll comment on every day. So what I mean by that is today's Friday, you might comment on 5 to 10 industry influencers' content. Monday, you'll have 5 to 10 different industry influencers' content. The same for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week, right? So every Monday, it's the same people. Tuesday, same people. Wednesday, same people. So the people whose content you comment on today, it's going to be the same people that you comment on next week. You create a list. And it's the same for prospects and ideal clients. There's a couple of other categories that I recommend people do as well, but I'm telling you, if you start with those, that's a great way to become seen as a thought leader. And on top of that, I think what an opportunity is, and once you do this, and this has worked for me as well, I have used this commenting strategy as a way to open up doors and invite guests onto my podcast who would usually charge for speaking gigs like that. So I've had some amazing people on, let's say, for example, Ian Golding came on. He is fantastic at customer experience. I've had Denise Leon on. She is fantastic at brand strategy and culture in businesses. I have had Stephen Horahan on. He is fantastic at brand archetype and things like that. And even Richard Vanderblom coming on is fucking cool, right? So Keith Barry I've had on, so there's, the Keith Barry episode is coming soon. It's not out yet, but on the Master Your Business podcast, in case you're wondering where all of these shit hot conversations are going on, check it out. The Master Your Business podcast. It's very good. If I do say so myself, I have incredible guests. I've had Roger Dooley on. He talks about neuromarketing. He's written some best-selling books. But the idea is by commenting and engaging on those people's content for a number of months and then reaching out and asking them, could we collaborate in some way? Would you be interested in coming on my podcast? They have been receptive to that because they're on their own LinkedIn platforms. They're actually seeing me and starting to recognize who's this fucking Deirdre Martin one who curses and swears from Ireland, right? And so they start to recognize you. In fact, Denise even said, thank you so much for your engagement on my content. It's been really helpful. And she's the one who brought this to my attention because I just thought, oh, if I comment on her stuff, maybe my ideal clients will be following her. But it turned out that this is a fantastic way for you to build your thought leadership and collaborate with those influencers, potentially without it costing you a cent or a dime or whatever. So another thing you can do that could help is, and I really don't recommend you do this often, is to share their content, but to add your own comments. So only share their content if it's of value to your audience, because very often what I see people do is they're just resharing other people's shit all the time. That's of no fucking benefit to your audience whatsoever, especially if you don't add your own insight to what that reshare content is. So get really freaking intentional and strategic with that. The other thing that you can do is those industry influencers, potentially they have their own platforms. Potentially they have things like podcasts themselves. Potentially they have YouTube channels. Maybe they do guest articles or have paid newsletter features and stuff. Again, strategically commenting builds a relationship with them so you can ask to be featured or to become a guest as well. And they will be more receptive to you doing that. And the third thing in terms of thought leadership for LinkedIn, it comes back to the content bit actually, but also it could be stuff that you comment on or that helps you become featured on those podcasts and so on with the industry influencers. And that is to create your signature framework. And that comes back to your unique value proposition that I spoke about earlier. And it's having that system that you can package that your knowledge, if you like, into a simple, repeatable system. Because if you can do that, people pay for clarity. So this framework I'm talking to you about, we could call it the 5 hour LinkedIn week. It's a part of my LinkedIn 7C success strategy, right? So some of the things I'm talking to you about are literally part of this strategy. But in all of this, what you're doing is you're building long-term brand equity. Because another thing that a LinkedIn business owner versus a content creator knows is that LinkedIn is a long-term strategy. Business growth is marketing. It's a long-term strategy. Yes, you can get quick wins, but ultimately you're in it for the long haul and it's a fucking marathon. So you need to build these repeatable systems that are scalable and sustainable without you. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do in terms of connections. And one of the things that you can do in terms of connections and conversations is to use tools to help you automate those connections. So you can run searches on LinkedIn organically or using Sales Navigator, and you can take those searches and upload them to a platform like Meet Alfred or Dripify. And in there, what you can do is create connection campaigns. So you're not manually connecting with new people each week because on LinkedIn, you can connect with 100 people a week. And if you're serious about growing your business, yes, you need to be intentionally trying to grow your audience because that's getting new eyeballs on your content. You don't need a massive audience to scale to 6 or 7 figures. In fact, I managed to scale to 6 figures with I didn't even have 10,000 followers, but I managed to make multiple 5 figures to high 5 figures without having a big audience, right? So then, no, and my first 25 grand contract came and I had maybe 1 or 2,000 followers at the time. So you don't need a huge fucking audience to make a lot of money. You just need to be connecting with the right people and you need to be growing that if you're serious about scaling your business to multiple 6 figures. But that takes an enormous amount of time. What I like about using Sales Navigator with a tool like Dripify is you can identify who are the people who are live and active on LinkedIn, as in they've posted recently. And that means that you're not sending a connection request to somebody who doesn't even use the platform. You know what I mean? So what I like to do is, and I'm very open and honest in doing this, and full disclosure, if you've not heard me talk about this before, is that I automate my connection requests. And my first message I send is, hey, great to connect. How's it going? That's automated. Everything else after that is me talking to you. It's either me or it's my team member, Fran. So Fran helps me with this because sometimes I just don't have the time to get in and do this. And if you're a multi six-figure business owner and you're scaling and you're really serious about growing to seven figures, you're going to have to delegate some of these tasks potentially. I don't recommend that you automate many more of your DMs bar that first one. And people always say to me, Deirdre, when I send a connection request, should I send a DM? Personally, I don't. And here's why. Dripify tells me my percentage of connection requests. If I send 100 connection requests per week, typically only 40% actually accept. But if I manually sent those, the fucking time it would take to send 100 connections and to personally write 100 messages, I'd be so pissed off if 60 people didn't accept. And I just don't have the fucking time for that. So yeah, I might get a higher acceptance rate, but look, you either want to accept my connection request or you don't. And hopefully if you're watching today, you have. So in terms of conversations, that's the first type of conversation. When somebody sends you a connection request or you send them a connection request, just start an open conversation. Don't try and sell them shit because you'll piss them off and they'll fuck off then, right? And we don't want that to happen. What you want to try to do is have conversations with people who appear to be high intent prospects. And how do you identify those? These are people who will engage frequently on your content. They might like it, they might comment on it, they might share it, they might do stuff like that. Other people are those new followers. If they replied to that message, hey, great to connect, how's it going? Or whatever version you want to use of that, those are people with high intent potentially, especially if they fit your ideal client profile, your ideal client avatar or persona, right? And then if you have other people who are personally sharing content who you deem to be a prospect and they're talking about a pain point that you solve, well, that's a fucking open invitation to say, hey, I saw you posting about this challenge you're experiencing with LinkedIn and storytelling and marketing generally and positioning yourself. That's what I do. And here's a free resource or two that might be able to help you. Or here's a podcast episode that I recorded that might give you some insights into what you can do. It doesn't need to be a sell. It needs to be a value. It needs to be a conversation that's actually natural and authentic. And instead of cold pitching, like be authentic. Say something like, I saw your comment on my post about whatever. What's been your biggest challenge with that? Or I just came across your post on this. I really liked your take. I'm curious, how are you tackling this bit? Right? A related challenge. And then what you want to do is transition it softly. And by transition it softly, I'm talking about, oh my gosh, it sounds like you're in a tricky phase right now. I've helped other people navigate that exact same thing. I have some tools or resources to help you break it down. Would you like it? So it's permission based, right? And you'll get more sales calls booked by asking permission than you will by slamming shit down people's necks. I read a book a couple of years ago, Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. I'm like, fuck, this is exactly what I do. And it works. It works. It absolutely works. And I have clients who are like, no, Deirdre, that doesn't work for my audience. And they just do the sell. And they're okay with all of the rejection. And by golly, there is a lot of it. Whereas I'm like, that's not what I'm about, actually. I'm more interested in educating people and helping them understand some of the psychology behind why people buy, why people choose you, why messaging in a particular way will work, and leveraging that knowledge and information so that you can grow your purpose-driven business and really fucking grow it exponentially. That's what I'm about. And I don't want to be sending spammy shit to people. That's just buy. I just don't think it's worth it. So I've talked about batch creating content. I've talked about commenting. Once you have that list built, you can do that in 20 minutes, right? So getting really intentional on that. And I have templates that I give to my clients so they can use those. We do it on a tool called Notion. It's a super tool, and everything is in one place. So who you're commenting with, keeping a track of the conversations you're having, and also the connections, right? So the connections are on Dripify, and that's entirely automated. So ultimately, what you end up spending your time doing is commenting and having conversations. And those two things you can't really automate, but you could delegate if you get to that point and you're ready to do it. So all in all, final recap is you don't need more time on LinkedIn necessarily. All you need is a smarter system. And like I said, here's what that can look like. Batch create your content once a month, once a fortnight if you can't do monthly. Use tools like Scribe. Again, send me a message if that's a tool that you're interested in trying out. And if you decide to sign up for it, thank you very much. And I might make $10 off of it. So thank you. You can create your own affiliate link and share it with your business besties. But you want to have an engagement engine going on outside of your content. And that looks like spending a half an hour on LinkedIn to engage. And that half an hour might be before, a couple of minutes before your post goes out and a few minutes after. And it might only be 15 minutes of commenting, right, and engaging. And then your DMs. So sometimes you're going to be replying to people on the DMs. So how I like to split it and do like a half an hour in the morning and a half an hour in the afternoon. And that way the people that I send DMs to, they'll reply in the afternoon and I'll get back in. But basically engaging and DMing, that's your hour a day, because otherwise, you can automate the shit out of everything else or delegate it potentially. So imagine what it would be like if you had the systems that you could lift and shift your LinkedIn and commenting and engaging and conversations to somebody else. That's totally possible. And I do that very often with Fran on my team. She does a lot of that for me. So it's amazing to be able to get to a situation where you can afford to do that and where your focus really is on your thought leadership, your focus is on increasing market share and revenue. And keep an eye out for my 7-figure business model masterclass that's coming soon, how to scale to your first 7 figures without burning out. And we will be talking about some of the other things that are really essential to help you grow. It won't be just a chat about LinkedIn. It'll be beyond the scope and realm of LinkedIn. Okay, that's a very long LinkedIn live for me. I don't usually talk for this long about LinkedIn, but I think it's really essential for you to know and understand the difference between a content creator and a business owner on LinkedIn, and how to use it really strategically, the things that you must do, but how to do it in a 5-hour LinkedIn work week. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please send me a message right here on the platform. Connect with me here if you're new and haven't come across me before. And absolutely go and check out some of these amazing episodes of the Master Your Business podcast I talked about. And remember, Richard Vanderbloem is coming on. If you've got questions you want me to ask him, oh my gosh, send them to me. I will ask him live on the podcast. I can't wait. Actually, I might ask him, will he go live on the podcast? And we can stream it live to LinkedIn. Cool. That would be fun. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the inspo. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching if you're still watching to this stage. And I will see you same time next week, next Friday, 1 p.m. live on LinkedIn. I'm going to be talking about more systems like this. So if you like today, definitely come next week.